Hi, welcome to Rate My Gadget, and I'm going to show you how you can fix an oven which isn't heating up within the main oven area. Okay, so just to be clear, everything I'm going to show you, if you are not happy with, please seek competent advice from an oven or electrical engineer. But first things first, really simply, if your oven isn't heating up within the main oven compartment, so if everything else is still working on it, so you're still seeing the time, the hobs are still working, then you know that the oven power supply isn't the issue. Now, it may be very, very unlikely that the power supply is an issue because it's not providing enough power to turn the oven on. However, you probably know that because as soon as you turn the oven on, you wouldn't be able to use the hobs and it would probably, cause you other issues. So if it is just the main oven, there are two main reasons for that. The first one is, and the more likely, is the heater itself. The second one is that it may be the fan or it may be something on the actual oven settings. So let's start with the easy one, which is the oven settings. So this is an AEG oven that I'm going to show you. And what usually with ovens happens is if you put a timer on, so if I put a timer on now, in some cases, in some models, and this is no different, when the timer goes off, as a fail-safe, it will turn the oven off. So do check that on your oven display here, you haven't got anything that shows, that it's either got child lock or something like that. So if we assume that everything is okay in that way, next is we're going to check the actual heater itself to make sure if that is working or not. And although if you are unconfident, please seek electrical advice. Replacing the heater isn't too difficult to be able to do. Okay, so let me show you first how you test it, and then secondly, how you would replace it.
So first of all, if you can find the isolation switch, or you need to find the isolation switch, it will normally be a large red switch like this. It might be hidden in a cupboard. You can then turn that off. Okay, and if you look, you'll see your oven is now turned off and nothing will work. None of the hobs, anything like that. Okay, if I turn it back on, you can see the oven comes straight back on. The other thing as well to do, as well as turn off this, is you can also go, and I would recommend go to the circuit board as well and isolate the oven because it will be on a separate ring main.
So what you'll find once you've turned all the power off is you'll need to go into the main oven area and take out, as you can see, all the guff that's inside to see you've got full access to the back of the oven. Now what happens in an oven, and I'll show you this actually. Let me just show you what I'm looking at. So this is the inside of the oven here. What you have on the back end there is a back square plate with a fan, okay? And you'll have these screws around the edge, which are just a protective plate of the fan itself. The heater will be around the edge. So what happens is when you turn the oven on, hence it's called a fan oven, this will turn on and it will push the heat out around to the whole oven. This is the bit, the heater in here, that you want to get to because it's likely to be blown. Okay, now in order to do that, you just need a Phillips screwdriver. So again, reiterate, make sure the power is off. So please don't judge me on how dirty my oven is. What you will find, and I'll speed up this video, is that the screws are probably quite tight in, and that is because obviously if you've had the oven a while, then obviously heating it up you might get little bits of dirt on the back of it which kind of sticks in place and it acts as a bit of a glue.
Okay, so I'm getting towards the end now. Taking me a lot longer than I thought it probably would, but what you might find is when the plate is hanging off that last screw, you might just need to lift the weight off it a little bit, undo it, and it should just come straight out. Okay, so there you go. There is the plate taken out. Try and keep it in the orientation it was, so you know which way it goes up. And there you go. There's the heater there. Okay, now then, what you'll find is you might even see that somewhere on this heater it's got a split. It's got some issue in which it's caused it to stop working. It probably isn't immediately obvious, and the way that you can test that then is that you remove the heater. In this case, I've got 2 bolts there that I can just take the heater, and then what will happen is the electrical wires behind it, I can then test those. Okay, so you just undo those 2 here, okay, and these should come out relatively easily. All right, so there's 1, and there's 2, and you can see as soon as I undid this second one, it wants to fall down. There you go. Okay, so now what you got is, if you pull it out ever so slightly, so I'm going to film this up close because it's not easy to see. So you don't want to be pulling it straight out. What you'll find is these little clips come out like that, see? Okay, so you don't want to be pulling it straight out. These clips, you kind of pull the unit, if I zoom out, you pull the unit out and then up like that, okay? And that exposes the 2 wires. Now make sure you don't pull this too far, because if you don't want to pull those wires out, those 2 wires there, you want to make sure you know which is which. So for me, I've got a red and a white that go onto the right prong and a white that goes onto the left prong as I look at it. Okay, now what you can do is you can slide those prongs off. So if I show you how to do that, there you go, one I finished earlier. So see how it slides off the bottom there, and they do that on both sides. Now again, don't pull this towards you, do this inside the oven. You do not want to pull it towards you and tear any of those leads. Okay, all that white stuff you can see, that's the insulation. Try and keep as much of that as you can in. If any of it falls out, just hoover it up, clean it up, and you'll be fine. Okay, so disconnect the heater, and then I can show you how, if you really want to, test it to see if it wasn't not working. So there is the electrical heater disconnected. Okay, wires, make sure they stay stuck out. You don't want to push them in, otherwise you're in real trouble. Okay, so what you're looking at here is an electrical multimeter. I'll put a link in the video. And what you can do is, if you look for the setting for continuity, normally it looks like this. What that means is that when you've connected it, the 2 prongs here, when you touch them together in a completed circuit, it means that it will create a beep, or it'll show a number. So if I just put these together, you can see straight away it goes from 1 to some random number. So all it's doing is it's just checking that there is connection. Now what you're doing here, and this is how you check if the heater is faulty or not, is that these 2 prongs, just imagine it's a big light bulb, but obviously, you know, not to use to light up the oven, but to heat up the oven. So it's got an electrical element going around here. So if I put that prong there and that prong there, it should give me continuity. And you can see if I move my hand out of the way, it's not. So what that means is that it's unable to make a connection between the end. Again, I'll just show you that if I touch it and change his number, if not. So that's one way that you can check. These are quite cheap, £8. So rather than you spending a lot of money buying a new heater, you might want to check. If you are getting continuity, it still may be faulty, because it still may have, like, you know, frays, but what that means is inside here, mine is definitely not connecting. Yeah, okay. So then what you can do, and it depends on your part, is if you look at the plate itself, you'll be able to get the part number. Okay, and this is the part number which, you know, for my AEG, I will be using to buy a new part. I then do the reverse, so plug it back in, screw it in, make sure that I've cleaned the oven out so that any kind of insulation that's dropped inside is clean, and then I'll be replacing it with this bit here. Okay. The other thing also to be aware of is that you'll see it normally has a wattage, so it'll have a W and a V. So in this case, I've got a 2.4 kilowatt, 2400 watt, 240 volt heater. You can buy these off Amazon. Normally they'll come in either 1900 watt, 2400 watt, 240 volt. Make sure, if you're not buying the original AEG part such as this, you can get them from Amazon. Again, the link is at the bottom for this one, for the 2400 watt, and I'll also put the link to the other types as well. To show you, I've got 2
heaters here. One of them is the one I took out, which is faulty. One of them, which is the one that I've bought, which is brand new. So if I just show you the multimeter on here, if you see the multimeter there, when I put it onto the old one, no change. So just to prove, you know, when I touch it, there is numbers there. When I touch it on 2 prongs, if I go for that's the old one. Oh, move over to the new one, to the 2 prongs. Straight away, you can see that there is a connection. So basically, what that's showing you is if you've taken the heater off and you put it onto the 2 prongs and you're getting no continuity between it, then what that means is a bit like a light bulb. Imagine the filament in a light bulb. You've got a break there, so it's not creating a connection and it's not heating. So that's what you're looking for. So if you've taken the heater off and you're getting that, then the heater isn't probably the issue that you're having, it's something else. If, however, you're getting no continuity, then you definitely need to buy a new heater. I think that's it. Obviously, I need to put this new one in, then put the base plate on, turn it on, and it all should be working. I hope that's helped. Please do like, please subscribe. If you have any questions, please put comments down at the bottom and I'll try and help as much as possible. Hopefully that solved your oven not heating up. Okay, thanks for watching.